Hello friends, welcome to this session of BLI 223. We'll be discussing library classification today. In our earlier sessions, we have discussed classification. We saw that library classification is nothing different as we do classification in our different activities of life, in different walks of life. We have also discussed that classification is inherent to us, it is innate to us, it is a natural process. We saw that classification is seen in nature and natural things. It is not man-made. We have tried to emulate what nature does for classification, and we have tried to implement classification in our activities, and we have seen that it helps us to do things better. It improves our functioning, our services, our work. It improves our understanding. We are able to use things better. We are able to do things efficiently and effectively. Therefore, classification is applied in libraries also. And when it is applied in libraries, it is called library classification. It is something which is above library classification is knowledge classification, and we have seen that knowledge too has been organized, and it is only on the organization of knowledge that a common man has been able to access, know and learn knowledge. One cannot learn the whole of knowledge, the whole universe of knowledge. One can learn, understand specific branches of knowledge and develop specialization in micro aspects of knowledge. Therefore, it has to be classified. Now, in a library, we have the knowledge in the form of documents which have to be made available to users, and therefore these documents have to be classified, have to be organized so that the users who are learning, who are studying knowledge, who want to access information, who want to reach to information, they should be provided this information and knowledge in an organized way. So, we will be in the session today discussing the terminology and the specific aspects in library classification that we will be applying later on in different sessions that we have or in different units that we study in this course. So, this discussion today is elementary but very important because we will be knowing the terminology, we will be knowing the process of classification, how classification is done, and this is common to classification done anywhere. Therefore, this terminology and this discussion that we have today will help us not only to know library classification but also to implement and apply library classification anywhere that we want. So, let us begin with the terminology. First of all, in very simple terms, we define library classification. We say that it is the process of doing classification. It is the process of applying classification in a library. We said classification is a process that involves certain activities we had discussed in our earlier session. We said it is we divide, we organize, we arrange, we rank. So, but in library this is all done for documents. Now, what is a document? If you see here, these are two examples of documents which are there in a library. In our earlier session, we have talked about different documents, and so we need to classify these. These belong to two different class of documents. One is a book, the other is a indexing abstracting periodical. So, similarly, we have many other types of documents in a library. So, when we apply classification in a library to classify these, it is called library classification. Similarly, it is also classification is applied to classify not only documents but also the surrogates of documents. And this is here, if you see the slide here, this is a catalog card. These are also classified using library classification. So we have just seen two examples. One is the documents, the other is the catalog cards. Similarly, not only the documents in shelves, but also the representatives or surrogates of documents in bibliographies, indexes, abstracts. Like you have a bibliography here, you would like to arrange the bibliography, you have to use classification. There are different ways in which this can be applied. Not only in the processes but also in services. Classification in a library is also used while providing service, like reference service. We use classification, we use library classification, and library classification helps us to provide better service. And in reference service, like, now what is reference service? This is a new concept to you. So just for your help, just to clarify to you, I would say define reference service in very simple terms, that it is hub of all services in a library. This is the main focus of services. It is a service which lies at the center and all other services around it. This supports and helps all other services that we provide in a library. It is so important. So this service, when provided in a library, makes use of library classification. Library classification is also used in various operations that are undertaken in a library, like acquisition, circulation in the periodical section. So as we said that we apply classification in all walks and activities of life, similarly in a library also library classification is done, is used. It comes to the aid of different operations and services in a library. Now let us come to the different terminology, standard terminology that we will come across when we read books on library classification and also our self-learning material. So one of the first terms that is very important, we should all know, is universe. So if I read out the definition, it says it is an aggregate. Aggregate means number of things, large number of things. As the term itself denotes, universe, we always, when we say universe, means we are referring to everything that is there. So when you talk of universe in library classification, it is an aggregate. It is a large number of things that are under consideration. It is not the universe that we mean otherwise in generic sense. It is a large number of things that are under consideration. So this universe may be different for different situations. Like in this class in which the discussion we are having, this is also a universe. We can say a class of BLIS online, this is a universe. So it is a aggregate in a given context. It is a collection of entities without any special arrangement among them. Universe means large number of things which we are referring to here as entities without any specific or special arrangement among them. I give here some examples. As I said, the BLS class. Similarly, university. It could be any university, that is also an example of a universe. Or I give you an example of, let us say, physics or library information science. So I have given you different types of examples. Physics discipline is a abstract concept, whereas the other two examples are concretes. So the universe could be abstract or it could be concrete, but universe means that it is an aggregate without any specific arrangement. We have used the term entity in our definition. Now let us see what is an entity. Entity is any existent which could be concrete or conceptual. That is, it could be a thing, it could be an idea, as I had given you the example there. That is, it could be, thing means it could be a boy, it could be a book, idea, it could be sweetness, it could be a system of philosophy, it could be a subject of study. So the universe comprises aggregates. The things in the universe, they are entities, and these entities may not always be physical, they could be conceptual, they could be abstract. That is little difficult when we talk of classification of ideas and concepts. I have given you here examples of entities, that if you talk of a academic library, then what are the entities? Academic library here is a universe. So what are the entities in an academic library? It could be users, it could be students, it could be teachers, it could be non-teaching staff or administrative staff, it could be books, dissertations, maps, you can add to this list. So these are all examples of entities that exist in an academic library. Now let us talk of entities in teaching. The entities in teaching could be a teacher, a learner, which are concrete entities. Syllabus, it could be teaching techniques. So these are all concepts. Now let us take another universe, India. What could be the entities here? The different states, people, government, the constitution, the languages, and you can add to the list. So these are different types of entities. So we have given examples of different universes and different entities here. So why are we talking all this? You must have realized and seen that because we had discussed in our earlier sessions that classification is required when there are a large number of things, and when large of number of things are there which are in it, these are part of a universe, and these things are called entities, and these entities could be of different types. Universes could be different. Now let us come to the next terminology that we should know, is called attribute. Now we have seen that there is a universe which is an aggregate with no specific arrangement. This universe comprises entities which could be physical, could be concrete, could be abstract, and now the attributes. What is an attribute? Attribute is any property or quantitative measure or quality possessed by or inherent in an entity. So now we are moving further, that a universe has entities and every entity has attributes. These attributes could be qualitative or quantitative. So we can say, like, attributes of this class, they are all living beings. There are some entities who are students. There are some entities who are Indian. So these are all attributes. We possess these attributes. These are all qualitative. We can also say some quantitative, like height is a quantitative attribute. Weight is a quantitative attribute. Now let us move further. Characteristics. What is a characteristic? It is also an attribute. So characteristic is an attribute or an attribute complex, means it comprises number of attributes with reference to which the likeness or unlikeness of entities can be determined, and at least two of them are unlike. See, this is very important. Please note that we have talked of attributes, but you know, attributes are qualitative or quantitative characteristic properties, but on the basis of these, we may not be able to differentiate amongst the entities of a universe. But if we want to classify, we should be able to differentiate amongst the entities of the universe. Therefore, this concept of characteristic has come. So what is it? Characteristic is such an attribute that we are able to see a universe into at least two. It could be two or more than two. So a universe having entities, and these entities having attributes. Out of those attributes on the basis of which we could divide this universe into at least two sub-universes or two subgroups is characteristic. Like as this BLIS class, If I say that those living being is a attribute, but on the basis of life or living being, living people in this class, we cannot form further two subgroups. But if I say gender, I could divide this into two or more. Similarly, if I do it on the basis of height, weight, qualifications, we could have further subgroups. So these are all characteristics. And why we have included this as part of the terminology in library classification? Because in classification we want to form smaller groups one by one out of a bigger group, so as to organize our universe into smaller sub-universes. Now, what is a group? We have talked of a universe and how a group is different from a universe. You know, group is a sub-aggregate. So, universe is in totality. There is nothing higher up than the universe. But if we remain at the universe alone, we will not be able to classify. Everything is part of that universe. If we want to classify, we should be able to form smaller sub-aggregates, further smaller sub-aggregates. This is how classification moves. Out of the big group, smaller, 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 till we reach one. So this is the basic aim of classification. We should be able to differentiate among the entities of the universe so as to see them as one. And in this we form smaller sub-aggregates, and these are called groups. So group is defined as any sub-aggregate of the entities formed by the division of the entities of a universe. We are dividing the universe on the basis of certain characteristics. We have defined a characteristic as an attribute by which we are able to differentiate the entities of a universe. And I give an example here that if library as a universe is taken, we can form a group as academic libraries. In academic library, which is a universe, we can form a group as school library, college library. Out of the school library, which is a universe, I can form a group as primary school library, secondary school library, higher secondary school library. Okay. Another example that I have given of a group here on your screen is verb as a part of speech. Part of speech is a universe. Verb is a group. Adjective is a group. Noun is a group. We can further go on subdividing, and these are called groups. Similarly, indoor games. Sports is a universe. Indoor games is a group. Within indoor games, we can have other games, and these form other groups. So this is how we form groups in classification. Now, what is a class? You know, in generic sense, when we use in our daily life, we generally denote a group and class as interchangeably. But no, when we talk of classification, in library classification, they mean different things. So let us define what is a class. Class is arranging in a definite sequence the groups formed by the division of the entities of a universe so as to arrive at an assortment of them. So when we have formed groups out of a universe, these groups, they may be many. Now how to place these groups amongst each other in relation to each other? We would like to rank them. We would like to give them a position with relation to each other. If we are able to do that, we have assorted the groups into classes. Like I give you an example that we said physics as a group out of the universe of knowledge. Chemistry is another group. Library information science is another group. Zoology is another group. Literature is another group. So these are different groups. But how to place these groups in relation to each other? We may use certain criteria to place them. And if we have a criteria and place them one after the other in a particular sequence according to that criteria, we have resulted into classes. So now you are very clear that what these terms mean and why we have discussed these terms, because you know that always in classification we have a large number of things which are different in nature from each other. They are a variety of things, they are large in number. We have to use these things, we have to work with these things, and since we will not be able to handle them as such, we would like to organize them, we would like to classify them, and if we want to classify them, we should know these things. And how do we know these things? We know their attributes, we know their characteristics, and on the basis of these characteristics, we divide them into groups, subgroups and so on, and further into classes, ranked groups, and we assort them, and then they will be easier to handle, they will be convenient to handle, and this is the basic purpose of classification, and it is done in a library also like that. Now, what is difficult here is that in a library, these entities that are there, that are to be handled, that are to be classified, are all different types of documents. Now, these documents are entities of the universe, and these documents have characteristics, like they are documents of different colors, of different sizes, of different shapes. But then none of these characteristics is used in a library to classify these documents. Why? There is nothing wrong. We can use height as a characteristic to arrange them in a library. It looks very beautiful. The documents which are highest or the highest in length, largest in length, placed on one side, less on after them, less after them, like that. It looks very beautiful. Or if we have documents of different colors, all documents of a color at one place, different color, like that, that also looks good. But you know, we don't classify books in a library on the basis of height or color. Similarly, another characteristic, they could be by different authors. We could place them by the names of the authors. But no, we don't do that. We classify books in a library by subject. So, this characteristic, why do we classify books in a library by subject? Because this is how our users want them. A user comes to the library and he wants a book on library and information science. He is not seeking a book on in a particular color. Color may change any time, and it may vary from library to library. And that doesn't matter. A user doesn't want a book on a particular color. He is interested in reading a book on a particular subject. Therefore, in library classification, we classify books by color. Let us move further. We have said that once the books have been divided on the basis of what we said is subject, like in this screen you see that we have said like a book in zoology, we may divide it into vertebrates and invertebrates. Electronic books and printed books to keep them properly in a library. But if you go by subject, zoology books could be divided into vertebrates and invertebrates, and further down, vertebrates also into further subgroups and invertebrates into further subgroups. So, this is how we do classification in a library, because our users want them like that. And once these groups are formed on the basis of subjects, they are put in a particular order, and that order is also the order in which our readers want them. Like, if I divide books on chemistry, I would divide them as inorganic chemistry, organic chemistry. Within organic chemistry also we may further subdivide, inorganic also we may divide. Like the periodic table you see in chemistry, the elements have been divided on the basis of their properties. Similarly, here knowledge, as it is divided in the carriers of that knowledge also, we take that as our basis. And what helps us in library? It is knowledge classification that helps us, which has been done by philosophers. Philosophers have divided knowledge, and they have kept in view in that how our people will understand, how they will understand that knowledge, and this is how library classification is helped by knowledge classification. And in library we seek the help of knowledge classification and classify our documents like that. One more thing in addition to knowledge classification, what a library classification does is, it mechanizes the arrangement, it mechanizes the whole procedure of library classification. What do we mean by mechanizing? That means that every time we classify books in a library, we don't do it afresh. We have devised a system, and such a system is used by anyone. The person may not know what is the basis of this classification, library classification, but the person should be able to put the books in an order which is really required by the users. So that we call as mechanization of classification. The classification has been mechanized, that anyone who wants to follow that classification can do it without knowing the basis of that classification. This is what has been achieved in library classification, and for that mechanization, library makes use of ordinal digits, numbers which are ordinal in nature, which have a position in relation to each other, like 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D. These are all ordinal. Anyone can know, anyone who is literate can know that, and that we have made used in library classification. So we have been guided by knowledge classification, we have mechanized the process so that the books are always in order, we are able to satisfy the laws of library science, we are able to save the time of the user, we are able to see that every book reaches its reader, we are able to see that every reader reaches to his or her book, we are able to save the time of the user. For that we have mechanized the process of classification. So what does library classification do in a library? It is able to identify the different types of documents. What this document is, it identifies that document for the user. It brings documents on the same subject together, separates documents on different subjects. It helps the user to browse the document, and therefore the open access is really helped because library classification helps it. It helps to locate the documents from the stacks. It helps to retrieve the documents from the catalog. We are able to achieve a mechanized arrangement. Even in reference service, when a user comes and asks for a particular information, library classification helps us to analyze the query of the user. We are also able to develop our collection. Library classification helps us to develop our collection. We are able to know which areas are weak in the library. We need to strengthen those areas. So these are all uses of classification, and therefore library classification is really helpful for us in different activities, operations, and improving the services of a library. Without library classification, we will not be able to serve our users the way we want to. In fact, library would collapse. And when you are talking of digital information, you are providing information in digitally, there also you organize it, you classify that information. The only difference is that we do not use notation the way we use in a library, but it is organized, it is classified. So the main guidance of the main reason why we classify is that organized collection helps us to reach to that information timely, effectively. We are able to provide it in an efficient manner. Therefore, library classification is very important for providing library and information services. Thank you.